All right. Would you believe this was done on a dare? Okay. All right. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about the Catholic mascot, Lucy. I don't know. I don't know. Probably Luce. But my my wife suggested this, so we're gonna just go with it. So apparently, this is the focus anyway, right? Like, so this is the focus. Anime is the focus. Um, So the Vatican has unveiled the official mascot of the Holy Year 2025, Luce, Italian for light. So I'm reading that from Catholic TV. Archbishop Viscella says the mascot was inspired by the church's desire to live even within the pop culture so beloved by our youth. So, all right. So I'm not exactly the youth, but it is one of those things where it's really funny. Halloween just happened, so if you're looking at this and I'm all dressed up, it did just happen. It is All Saints Day, so happy. Hope you went to mass today. It is a day of obligation. So today I'm going to, in this, ironically enough, my actual costume that I took to trunk or treat. Yes, thank you, Mandy. Thank you. I took this costume to trunk or treat. I gotta tell you, it was a Catholic school. I was surprised by the amount of adults that were like, "Hey, you're Rengoku," and I was like, "That's kind of cool," but it's also kind of. I was expecting more of the kids to say something, and some did, some didn't, but at the same time, like the older kids, not Demon Slayer is not something my kids watch because it's too adult for them. Like it has too much mature content. But it's something that my wife and I enjoy watching. So, what does this have to do with Luce? Well, it has to do with the fact that that's the focus. The focus of Luce is the anime appeal of a Catholic mascot of the church, and it's kind of weird. And there's a few reasons that I think we need to bring to light. And so this is just helping with that, bringing light. All right. So I'm going to stop addressing my costume. So although it is like right in my face. So okay. The first thing is, this seems like a fad. Like this seems like a weird fad attempt. Like it's one thing if like organically this comes up, but from a top-down church level, it's kind of weird to have an official mascot in this capacity. Like it's one thing to do artwork. It's one thing to do expressions of the faith that are more traditional or understanding, that aren't so niche. But I guess that's just kind of where we're at. It seems very this seems like a Hail Mary play. Okay, like this is really weird. Like this seems like a Hail Mary play when it comes to PR for the church. And it's there's gotta, I gotta say, like there's some things where it's working well. Like this idea is working well in certain spheres. In others, it's repulsed completely. And I think it's because of where people are at, but also I do think this is a fad problem. Not only that, there is serious concern about the artist that made this. One second, except like she could do actual Hail Marys and it would work better. She being the church. But so what we have here is we have the artist Simone Legno, who's an Italian co-founder for the pop brand Tokidoki. Okay, so Tokidoki and what it's promoted has been scandalous in this nature, where it's turned people off for exactly the right reasons. And I'm going to explain to you why. So the first one is when you start making artwork of things that of a sexual nature, and then also on top of that promote. I mean, it's for sex toys. Like that's just right there. I don't know how you can't avoid that. Like I know I'm on YouTube, but whatever. I mean, they're sex toys. Artwork for sex toys, artwork for LGBT stuff, and so clearly from the church's standpoint, like that's very divergent. And in light of what happened with Rupnik and what we did with what a lot of people have done, priests and bishops have done with the artwork from Rupnik, like this doesn't seem like it's in line with that. So Rupnik did a lot of sexual deviancy, a lot of things that shouldn't be happening, and abused his position. So like there's a multi-level there. Like it's not just simple like he was this sexual deviant priest, but he did things that he really should not have done. The problem is that the artist who did this also promotes sexual deviancy with his art. And so Luce looks really cute. It's not like I'm not offended by the fact that exists. It's the fact that we are a church of like 1 billion people. Why can't we find people who make art who don't also actively promote evils that like we say not to do? Like, why is that so hard? And like that's kind of like where I'm at with this is like, this is, if the church wants to get into media, like I think, by the way, media like is something that the church lacks, and it does show a type of archaic understanding or archaic approach, because we have different mediums now, and some bishops and priests have been on top of that, and it's good. Like when you see some TikTok priest and he's explaining certain things of certain avenues of the faith, or you have like Father Mike Schmitz who's using the medium in a appropriate way to explain the faith. There's something to be said there that's good, right? Like because we need to get the message out to people, and we can't just do it by mail anymore or letter. Or like we actually have to put ourselves out there. And there isn't, like the land of the rising sun is a country that is in need of evangelization. They have 0.35%. So this is not 35%. This is 0.35% of the population are Catholic. Like the nukes kind of like devastated the Catholic population in World War II. And so like that percentage is a result of that. But like it does make sense that there would be an attempt to go in that direction. I don't think it's that great of an attempt, but it does make sense that it would, there is an attempt to go in that direction. My biggest issue with this is, again, it's too top down. It's too from the top. And like, like I have a friend who's a graphic designer and can make artwork like this. He doesn't have a compromised past, or he doesn't have a compromised situation where he is actively promoting things that run against the faith. And so that's kind of where I'm coming at this. Is it good to reach out and experiment? Yes, I think it is. Are there good and bad ways of doing that? Yes, I do. And so now some people have compared this to other artists that the church has hired in the past, but I think that's kind of like odd to do. Like I've seen comparisons to like Michelangelo and some of his poems, and I think that's a bit grasping at straws. I don't think that's an appropriate comparison, because I don't think what is it, like the level of promotion that's happening and the understanding that was happening at the time with Michelangelo, like it's just not comparable in terms of like what happened. On top of that, like there's no definitive thing that shows that Michelangelo was in a like problematic relationship of any kind. Um, so like that's the other thing. Like, you know, when someone's promoting sex toys, art on sex toys, and then also, you know, LGBT stuff, like that's objectively problematic. Like that's not a matter of, well, you know, like he's being a little too nice to this gentleman. You know, interpreting a Frodo and Sam situation with a Adam and Steve situation. Like it's just not the same. That's about all I wanted to say. I don't know. Like this whole thing seems fairly overblown in some aspects. I can understand the criticisms uh, when it comes to just the style and like how it was. Like I said, I myself don't think that it should have been so top down, but it's not a problem. Like when I'm part of a few Discord servers, and I see a lot of art coming out of this, and some of it looks really good. It the problem that I see with it though is maybe this is my ignorance, but the problem I see with it is the fact that she's typically holding a shepherd's staff as opposed to a walking stick or whatever they make. Um, yeah, I mean, like I'll give it that. Like she's adorable. Her pedigree is just questionable. Um, you know, as the object itself, as Luce herself, as a mascot. Again, too top down, but like the problem is that I do see this as kind of a softening of like, you know, the image I picked for my thumbnail was on purpose to show her punching Martin Luther. And the reason, and it looks like a staff, right? Like it doesn't look like what she's holding in the in what the Archbishop showed. And so it gives this impression that she's like a priestess or a priest. And I don't like that. Like I understand a pilgrimage, like there's a walking stick. A walking stick is not a staff. Um, like it's not a shepherd's staff. Like those are two different things. And so the shepherd's staff has an implication to it, right? And so in Catholicism, and that goes towards, you know, the priesthood, the clergy. Abesses are allowed. Okay. But like, sorry, yeah, so she does look a bit young for that. But like when you look at like, so I get the fact of like we have a mascot now. Like it's almost like for some of them, for some people, Luce is the anime version of the church herself. And I think that's problematic, right? Like that's clearly problematic because the church should not be limited in such a way. You know, Holy Mother Church, yes, it has a female aspect because we are the bride of Christ. But I do not like the fact that it's limited to in this avenue. The fact that it only came out as a woman is also suspect. To me, that seems to not. I think that's a problem because you, like I said, it lends itself to be promoted as a representation of the church herself. Like, yes, on some level the mascot's supposed to be, but on some level I'm a mascot for the church because I'm a practicing Catholic and I'm supposed to represent the church when I go out into the world. So, but like clearly, like I'm not a woman. So, so the idea that you can only use a woman to represent the church when we have men and women who represent the church, like again, doesn't make sense. So the fact that there isn't a guy equivalent to this, like that there isn't just like just a guy, a little dude, is also kind of a problem. Sorry, my Let's see. Let's see. I don't know, the optics of a bunch of old men who have questionable history of attraction to young people picking a mascot of a cute preteen teen. Right. So like that kind of has to go with the yeah, like that kind of goes with the whole like, I guess I didn't say that, but it goes with the picking of the artist. Like clearly someone picked the artist. And the person who picked the artist, I think, has again questionable problems. Like simply because pop toys are everywhere. Like you go into GameStop, you see them. Like you see a lot of different examples of the artwork in a lot of different venues. Does not necessarily mean that it's okay to get. Like somebody was using, what is it? They were like, well, the Catholic Church wants to have a good brand to use. I'm like, it's the Catholic Church. Like literally just promote it to the kids of the Catholic Church. Like it's not that hard. You're going to be everywhere. And especially if it's a top down thing, like that aspect won't matter. It's whether or not it'll repulse people. And Damien, I think you're right. Like the idea that you have a bunch of old men who themselves have questionable histories picking a preteen teen as this is very suspect and makes for a lot of obvious questions. And I don't like some of the gaslighting that's happened. Like it's like we're trying to get away from this and it seems to lend itself right into the questions you don't want to go into. So the idea that this is trying to like help with optics also, I mean, it goes against what you would want. So thanks, Damien. That's a good point. Could have gone with a chibi grandpa type and been good, probably. I don't know. Like that depends. That might see, like that's the problem is you do a chibi grandpa and it might hit, it might not. It probably won't hit. Like, all right, so like here's the other thing. All right, so here's the other thing, and it kind of goes with Damien's point, but Damien's point isn't like far off from the people who are attracted to anime girls. Like, I mean, because that's what it is, right? Like anime girls are a thing, and men are attracted to them, and it's like that's the problem. Is that it also adds in this kind of like sexual nature and taking advantage of their impulses. Now that like it's unfortunate that there's a subgenre of like anime that focuses on that. But it's not small. It's one of the reasons like my wife and I have watched anime for quite a while. Like we know, like we've been watching since Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. And even Dragon Ball Z had a like it went away from like the more like girl obsessed aspects of it for a guy and more focused on the ultra manliness of like, look at my muscles, I'm powering up type of thing. But there are still aspects of that throughout the show. And it's in the show and in most animes precisely because it's just an incredibly large demographic that boys will watch this if there's some sexual aspect to it. Now, I'm not saying that there's a sexual aspect to Luce, like Damien said, it's preteen teen. It's conservatively, she's conservatively dressed. There's no sexual aspect outright. But the fact that it was just a girl that was picked, it kind of goes into like my whole point that it's just a girl that was picked. That I think doesn't make a whole lot of like unless they're really in tune with the main audience of, let's just say, all of anime, with men being, like I said, like it just being so prevalent, and that's why it was picked, like because there is the other aspect. So not pushing back on my own point for a second, because I do think this is like something that needs to be discussed and I don't have anybody to discuss it with. So, but like the other aspect of it is like Hello Kitty, right? Like my daughters love Hello Kitty, and you know, they think it's they think it's uh they think it's cute. And so Hello Kitty looks similar, like it's a similar style, or a close enough style to what's being presented. So there is a there is kind of like this within anime, like the sexual anime and similar style um, cartoons, this sexual aspect where girls will find it cute to a point. If you have a girl who's basically a stick with balloons, like, okay, well, like that's not going to be appealing to them as girls. The obvious target audience for them would be the boys, and you shouldn't be watching that. Like, but like the what is it? There's a lot going on with anime that is not, and that art style that is not entirely innocent. And like I think that's part of the problem with this is, and the fact that it just kind of came out of nowhere is also um kind of weird to me. Okay. So in the film, okay, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. I figured it was close enough. I mean, like I literally just read an article from Forbes on Demon Slayer, like kids growing up on Demon Slayer. And I'm like, kids have not grown up on Demon Slayer. It's been out for like 4 years. So there's no way that could have happened. um, but yeah. Happy Halloween. Happy Saints Day. Have a All Saints Day. Let's see. I mean, the mutterings would have been worse if it was a cute preteen boy. Let's be honest. Papal tiara with a face is probably the safest bet, or Benny Beretta, a talking hat. So okay, like that makes up a good point. But like, here's if they would have pushed both at the same time, I think that would have been better. Like, I really do think if they would have just came out with a counterpoint, like a compliment, a male compliment to this, it would have been better received. But the fact that, like Damien had stated, old men promoting a preteen teen girl, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter if it's like, if it's just one, right? Like, but like, I guess like you're kind of right, because if they did both of them at the same time, you'd still be able to say that. So it's kind of creating like, all right, so expectations and understanding the audience, I think, are the biggest points here that need to be understood. Because when people look at, like I said, anime, if you know the target audience for anime, like I said, it's not quite completely wholesome. Like even Hello Kitty, unfortunately, is not completely wholesome. Um, so it's um, yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, okay. Olive, I don't know what country I don't know what country you live in, but King of the Hill is most certainly not anime. Like, it's hilarious. um it is funny. It's one of those shows I grew up on growing up, but like, I mean, obviously whatever. But anime, almost, at least from an American standpoint, it almost exclusively means Japanese created cartoons with a particular style. And Hank Hill is not in that style. So uh so not that I'm not it is definitely an animation, like it's a cartoon, but I would not describe it as anime. Let's see, got a little extra. Okay, no, it doesn't. It No, it doesn't. Oh yeah, okay. All right. Speed Racer is my favorite anime. Oh man, that's like really old. And that was before it became a problem. Okay, well yeah. All right. Uh let's see here. Okay, so I think that was it. I know this was like last minute. This was something my I was like, all right, I'm thinking about doing a live stream late at night. And she suggested, hey, why don't you put on your costume? um, yeah, so like that's an interesting thing. Like, I mean, the thing is like when you okay, so here's the other problem that I don't like about this because so I, I know I say this a lot, but it's relevant. Um, being a statistician, I've worked for different companies on different marketing aspects. And so you get this like unfortunately, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like it being promoted, like it's not organic. It's not like bottom up. It's like top down. You throw out one thing and you treat that as like an experiment. Like, oh, how well received is this? How, like was this good? Because I do think if this was, let's just say, if they focus on the well received parts of the church, which there are a lot, like I mean, people dressed up as her for Halloween, like not kidding. Like there's several people who have their kids dressed up as Luce for Halloween. And so very short like over to like they just took advantage of it and they loved it. And there is, I guess, kind of like a drive for that because like when you look at our culture, like our culture very much promotes a what do you call it, a materialism and a focus like on that's like borderline idle, like that's like an idle appreciation. Now like the problem comes with the fact that it's like that materialism in regards to the church is a bad thing, right? Like we shouldn't be having that relationship understanding with that. Like when you see that mascot, like okay, well, what's different from that mascot compared to Saint Teresa Lisieux in the same art style? I'm being completely serious. Like from that standpoint, why do we have a no name? I mean, Luce is named, but like, why do we have this weird, random, blue haired preteen girl as the mascot instead of like just literally any of our saints in that same art style? Like, we have a bunch of preteen, teen saints that are both boys and girls, died as martyrs, did a whole bunch of stuff. Like, why is the focus like on something that doesn't exist as a person? And so, again, I do think going back to your question, it has to do with marketing and it has to do with they're testing the waters to see exactly like what they're able to get from this. Because say they had an entire like lineup of this, um, and they threw it all out at once, it would look a little weird. And there would be a lack of focus at the very beginning because that's also a thing. If you have like a family as opposed to one thing, like there's so that goes into like marketing and like what you're doing, but like basically it's just playing with the psychology of the audience and not playing so much as like testing and seeing. And so um that may be what they're doing. I don't know for sure. Obviously, I don't work for them, but it's just again kind of I have a lot of questions like you. So um let's see. I love speed. Guys are talking about Speed Racer now. Yeah, but did Pusheen the cat come originally with the family, or did Pusheen the cat come out as Pusheen? Because I'm pretty sure Pusheen the cat came out as just this fat, adorable cat. And then it eventually got added all the family and stuff, which again goes back to the point that I was making. So ironically enough, you have you have a cat icon. So that's funny. Yeah, are the saints kind of already right? Yeah. So yeah, aren't the saints kind of already church mascots? Like, so we have this understanding of like it's okay to show Mother Mary in Japanese, in Polish, with a Native American, um, showing the culture or the demographic aspects of that culture, and that's fine. Like that's what the church has said, um, as a way of being Catholic, as a way of expressing that the saints and in Christ is for everybody, not just those in the Middle East or Italy or any, like it's for everybody. And I totally get that. I guess my question just comes down to why can't we take art styles and like, why can't, instead of watching anime, so like I've seen a whole bunch of anime. Um, I am married. I've been married for a while. So, I am not single, obviously. I have kids. So, I don't just watch anime, but I've watched a lot of anime, and uh, seeing a priest like in an anime style actually looks cool. Like, because like the Japanese, like when they like, because what they'll do is they'll adopt Western culture and they tell their stories through like certain Western venues or institutions, and sometimes the Catholic Church gets pulled in. Actually, a lot of times, Catholic Church gets pulled in, and one of the cool things is like how they make the priests and the nuns like kind of awesome. And it's like, okay, well, why don't we have like art styles or descriptions like that of like stories of priests doing like things that aren't quite banal. Like don't get me wrong, it's incredibly important to show like, all right, well, life isn't going to always be super exciting. Like totally get it. Um, but like, what captures people is and especially, it's like they continuously use the church in various aspects. Um, so like there is something that's capturing that imagination and they're mixing it with their own. And so like when me as a Catholic watching it and like you see like a nun or priest or whatever doing a number of things, like it it does it kind of adds a little bit of flair to it. And so like I get that. And I'm just wondering like why we haven't taken advantage of that. Because like that culture clearly, like why do we have people who practice Shinto or people who practice Hinduism or people who practice what is it, Buddhism, doing our Catholic, like representing us in the East? Like that to me just doesn't make any sense. So like that's just um I don't know, a little bit of a tangent. So it will be a character that ages in real time or stays the same age. I think that will entirely depend on what happens because like this could eventually be just like our generation's version of the 70s crap, right? Like I mean it's a fad. Like anime is a fad. It's not something that I expect to last very long in terms of its draw. But like Luce is going to be like similar to some of the things that was tried in the 70s, except it's starting now. And so when we're 30 years older, like that's the other thing. We have to be careful if we're promoting this, not to be bogged down in like the very timeliness of this. So like as opposed to being timeless, this is not timeless. This is not a timeless thing. This is very much a like in the now promotion. Um and so like that I think has a different that's going to have a different spin to it. Whereas like, when you see like particular artworks like stained glass windows, like they have a timelessness to them that is captured. Um But like, again, Luce is just, I mean, like, oh my gosh, someone's probably going to make a stained glass window of Luce, and that's going to be really weird. Oh, that's going to be really weird. She's not even a real person. All right. Excuse me. I think that would be like when like there's this awesome image of Father Eric where he has his like glasses on and he's wearing like his benediction outfit, except he's traveling with the Eucharist in hand. Like he's got the monstrance and it's in the car because during COVID he drove the Eucharist around the perimeter of the parish and then in like not like the block, but like the perimeter that he's in charge of. He did that. And so like I would totally be on board to doing that. I think that would look cool. Anyways, like again, that's a timely thing too, but I art of good, well, whatever. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Yes, they are. They are almost always in cassocks in anime, and there's a reason for that. Like, there's a reason why Catholicism is used more than any other Christian group, because we're not a denomination. We're the original thing. The reason why is because we have so many external expressions, and you got the sign of the cross. So the sign of the cross could be used in movies and like it's used in movies all the time. And whenever something's like a dire situation, when someone does a sign of the cross, that it means something, right? Like it's not just simply a matter of, um, you know, an empty gesture. It means something. Cassocks, the second you see a cassock, boom, he's a priest, which is why it's so important that like priests and nuns or religious sisters wear their attire outside, because it immediately draws your conviction. But yeah, like they're almost always in cassocks, and it's great. I have no idea on the stats of anime in China. So that, but you know what? Like that's not a bad question to ask. Yeah, that's not a bad question to ask because, yeah, that's not a bad question at all. Okay, so, okay, I get what you're saying. Like heresy is heresy, but heresy is also closer than Shinto, right? Like they still have Jesus, even if it's just a little bit of truth, whereas Shinto is, not. Hey, I'm really glad that was your response. That is exactly what I was looking for. So I'm good. Like I'm glad that's the case. Thanks for being here, Alex. Let's see. The Holy Catholic. Yep. Have you ever seen a movie where a demon enters a person and someone yells, "We need a Lutheran preacher to get rid of this demon"? So no, I haven't. But I will promote this because the priest actually is in my archdiocese. Although he's not a secular priest. The Exorcist Files, if you can listen to it, it's hosted by a Protestant that I actually think, I hope will actually convert to Catholicism, and he does seem to be going in that direction. But the Exorcist Files is very much about that. Like they do point out like more often than not, Catholics are the ones like ministers, ministers of other of denominations will call the Catholic priest and the exorcist to actually deal with what they can't handle. And I thought that was so funny when I listened to it. I was like laughing with my wife. It was great. So, so that's not okay. So that question is not appropriate, and the reason why that question is not appropriate is because the head of the church is Christ, and Christ is either a 0 or a 1 situation, given that it's based off the premise of God being God or God not existing at all. And the reason why that matters is because probability can only ever be associated with things that have contingent influences to them, which would then create an event. Given that God is not an event, God either is or is not based off, philosophy, which I would say, given what the church has stated and what Thomas Aquinas has presented, that it is a thing, God is God, that it is then not there. You can't have a probability with it, and so a p-value doesn't make sense. So that would be the answer. Like, and I know I went into assumptions instead of like just an outright like question, like, thing, but you can't answer that typically. Like, you can't answer that like a test because you're dealing with assumptions. You're not dealing with numbers. And so obviously the assumption, human reason understands that there's a God, even where people are mad at him. So, okay, you're correct, but like you're not correct at the same time, because I think that has to do with proportion. But okay. So the Japanese have like the world's best toilets, and they don't have as prevalent of Mexican food. And so do with that what you will. If you thought it was a bad joke, that's fine. But there's a meme I saw where it basically made that comparison. But no, I get what you're saying, but like I don't think that that's appropriate. Like Shintoism has its faults. Like, it is by no means perfect, or even like comes close to perfect. It does have a lot of parallels, though. Like, the original founder of Catholic Answers was married to a Shintoist, and she eventually converted. And there's just a lot of parallels to Shinto, right? Like, there's instead of ancestors, that you refer to, you have the saints, like All Saints Day, instead of Oni or gods or demons, depending on what translation you have the saints. So like that, again, I'm not gonna like do a whole thing on Shinto versus thing. I don't Shinto and Catholicism. I don't think I'm not a theologian, so I don't want to pretend like I know enough to convert someone or anything. But there are a lot of parallels. But it is still a pagan religion. And so that's all I'm saying. I get what you're saying, but like, it's still a pagan religion. Yes, we do. So the Exorcist. Okay, so Father Martins does point that out. That oh no, I lost my cloak. So Father Martins does point that out, that there's still a level of effect when it comes to deliverance prayers, and that has to do with a variety of things. But so, like, for example, if you're a father and you're not praying for your family, even if you're a Protestant, if you're not doing the head of the household situation, like, that's a problem. Like, if you're not praying with, excuse me, sorry, if you're not praying with or for your family, like you're failing as, in your position, and leaving up like um you're leaving up a lot of open opening openness to demons. And so again, I go to the Exorcist Files because I'm doing a really crappy summary because I wasn't expecting that topic at all. But it's yeah, yes, I agree with you. Yes, yeah. Thanks, Damien. Ain't no tests and solemnities. Uh, so I actually don't know if she converted before or after they got married. I mean, obviously for a sacramental marriage, that would have to, she would have to be baptized. But I don't like, yeah, I think it's Keating. His last name's Keating. So look it up. It's a pretty interesting thing to read. I grew up, so I'm 35, or I'm sorry, I'm about to be 37. My wife just turned 35. Um, or 29, sorry, 29. Just kidding. Um, yeah, so 37. When I grew up, like when I came back to the church, he was still in charge of Catholic Answers, and so this was around 2008. So it was pretty him, Jimmy Akin, Trent Horn. Like I've known them for a while, and they've helped me like come back to the faith when I was away from it. There were others too, but like Matt Frad, and I know like a lot of normies. So I guess like some people are just like, those are normies. Some people who are not normies, like I thought Church Militant like was actually really effective when they were not so pointed inward. Like when they were pointing out like politicians, they had a lot of good stuff at that point and some stuff later, but they obviously dissolved because of a lot of problems. But with the bad, sometimes you get the good, and I am in the Archdiocese of Detroit where they were, so it's not like you couldn't hear about them. I'm also one of those people who I don't tend to like listen to people when they say, "Hey, that person's not like good," unless it's like abundantly obvious it's good. Like they're not good. When it comes to like when they talk about things. Oh, and the late El Cresta. So like he was especially during grad school. He was very helpful. And this is the first time he'll for All Souls Day, please pray for El Cresta. This is the first time All Souls Day passes where he's passed. So hey, let's see. No, I lost my cloak. Go. I mean, I'm not quite preaching. So I do want to like, it's more like clarifying. Yeah. Millennials for the win. Okay. So I'm like, I totally get what you're saying. I don't think that would be appropriate. For a variety of reasons. Like I like that's like really, I don't want to say it's a great question from a standpoint of like it's objectively great, but in the context of anime, like what you're asking is I think appropriate. And one of the things that um I am very much against the image of Jesus being used outside of like sacred things. Like I'll laugh at memes. So like you're kind, I don't know. Like I agree with you. I think he would be totally jacked, but I wouldn't be okay. Like I probably wouldn't watch it. And that I'm only saying that because I'm just not a fan of secular use of the image of Jesus. Like because yeah, that's just me. So Yeah, I do think that he would end up being Jack though. Like if I think yeah, the dynamic is totally on point. Let's see. Do you remember Trad Cat Knight? I think he got exposed for scamming, but to be honest, he helped me at my worst by posting some good Catholic stuff in a sea of mid 2000s atheism. Yeah, the mid 2000s was really bad. Like, I mean, we were dealing with the New Age movement, and that was what I was coming out of. Not that I was atheist, but like that was something that kept hitting me every single day, like at school. Like, so, but yeah, like I totally get that. I'm gonna ignore your comment, Alex. Yeah. Well played. Well played. Because you have the so I'm laughing at so I initially laughed at your laughing, and then I laughed harder because you have Luce, you're like right there. So well played, K37. Well played. Uh um yeah, like can we talk about that for a second? Like, what is a Zoomer? Like it okay, so Zoomers rhyme with the thing, like, okay, so I unfortunately heard the version of that word with a C at the front first. And then I heard Zoomers, and I'm like, is that like some weird joke? And no, that's the generation name. And so I have a like horrendous bias that does not paint a good image whenever I see that word. So not to yeah, I didn't want to say it, but it's just I kind of figured the people who are in the chat are all like around my age. So or at least adults. So but in the event that someone isn't an adult, that's why I didn't say it. But they may have already left because of the sex toy comment earlier. I don't know, whatever. But you guys get what I mean. Like, we're talking about adult stuff. We're mature. We got it. We got it, right? Like, let's see. Welcome to. So, okay, let's see. Can't post comments on some destinations. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, for all of you who have been joining me so far, thank you. I appreciate your guys' responses. So I'm supposed to be Rengoku. Rengoku is the demon slayer from Demon Slayer. He's a fire Hashira. Hashira means pillar. So like there's an institution and there's people who are basically like the leaders, and they're called pillars. And I was like, oh, cool. Like that's nice to know that. And then Rengoku, I know a lot of people will think of it as Goku from Dragon Ball Z or Naruto or something like that. Sorry, not to get like too nerdy right now. It's just more like explaining this. But Rengoku actually means purgatory, which I found was very interesting. And I was like, I am absolutely going to be that guy for Halloween, because that is totally in line with the next month. So that's part of the inspiration why I chose this, because the guy himself literally represents purgatory. And even though it's done in a Shinto understanding in the anime, how they've been playing with heaven and hell and Shinto, or I'm sorry, in purgatory, has actually been, it wouldn't take that much to make it Catholic. I guess let's just say that. So like it's so going back to what Olive said about Shinto and in relation to Catholicism, I totally get that. Like I totally get that, because they did adopt, like the art definitely adopts like hell and heaven from like a Catholic perspective. Well, I guess not so much, because they have like reincarnation, so like that's another thing. So don't, like, that's obviously not okay. But in terms of heaven, hell, and then purgatory. Like it's kind of interesting how they're wrong, but they're like so close to being right. Like it's definitely a good versus evil show. And like the demons are essentially vampires, which makes even more sense from the standpoint of like vampires being a problem. Because even though they call them demons, like vampires inherently are problematic and scary, not because they have like teeth or whatever, but because they outright deny what Jesus offers. Like that's why Dracula was so scary when he came out the first time, like as a story, because he has a eternal life as long as he doesn't go into the sun, but he is rejecting the gift of Christ. And so that's like that was the original reason why vampires were scary. So I didn't, you probably didn't expect a history lesson with a guy wearing a wig and cosplay outfit, but that's what you're getting right now, guys. Like that's the type of like time we're dealing with right now on a Friday at freaking 10:30. So thanks for being here, because like this is like actually like doing way better than it usually is. Like it's great. Let's see. Sorry, I'm not quite. Like he's not Catholic. Like it's all under a Buddhist Shinto. They actually seem to splice the two. Um Understanding, but the imagery is very like I said, Catholic. Um in terms of heaven, hell, like the object isn't like heaven isn't with God. Like so that's a problem. It's just like a nice place. Um and there is reincarnation, so there is that problem. But like the image, like the burning hell, purgatory, that's yeah. So um no, it's not my favorite anime. I would probably say my favorite anime is Naruto, if not Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Z only because I kind of I grew up watching it, and I didn't exactly have the greatest home life. So that was like I come from a broken home, so that was more of a reprieve from what was happening around me. Um, I've watched Dragon Ball Super and stuff, but like so like that Dragon Ball Z has a particular angle to it. Naruto, in terms of the story, I think is better, and it hits more. And man, you know what? I'm gonna like this is another thing. Okay, so Olive, I totally get your point with Catholic and Shinto. Shinto is they pray for their dead, and there are points in Naruto where they pray for the dead, and I'm just like, like that's tomorrow, that's today. Like All Souls Day. I went to Assumption Grotto. My great uncle is buried there, and so we went and prayed over his tomb. So yeah, that's Naruto's one, followed by probably Dragon Ball Z. So I know that's probably not that great. Demon Slayer's not done yet, so I don't I don't rank Demon Slayer because Demon Slayer is just not done. So let's see. Yeah, I mean it's okay. I don't know if you're doing the manga. I've never done the manga. I typically just stay to the anime, and the anime, I think the ending is okay. Like it's not bad, but I think they stopped it because of the voice actor. Actually, the voice actress. I don't know if you know this, but in the Japanese, Goku is voiced by a woman, and the reason why that is because she has a high voice, and there's a purity aspect to the voice, and Goku's supposed to be like the purest dude, even though he's a terrible father in Dragon Ball Z. So and yeah, so that's another thing. So um uh I think they wanted you to skip it. Like I would want you to skip it. I'm sorry. The antidepressants, like it's 10:40, so they're probably like, well, you're staying up at night. Like, why are you staying up at night? Like, here's the antidepressant thing. Um, yeah, sorry. I do have the monetization. So like the monetization, just to let you guys know, because it will occasionally pop up. I have it on the lowest setting. And if I don't have it on some setting, when this starts being processed after the live stream, it won't be monetized. I won't be able to change it to monetized. And that's like the most amount of views that happen at one time. And so I do try to capture that like few dollars, just a little bit. So just being very frank with you guys. And again, I appreciate you guys being here. Sorry for the ads. And I mean, at least it's not a Harris ad, right? Like that. Those are boring as heck. I've seen enough of them in my life. Let's see. Oh, that's hard. Are we logging like comfort show or story? Oh, got it. Okay. Frankincense is an antidepressant. Go to mass. We hit the late mass and sat in front, baby. Still smells like incense. Okay. Okay, here's a question. So since you brought that up, I miss incense at mass. When you go to mass or when you go to your parish, ask if you're able to. Ask if you can buy the incense, like as an offering. So as something that you can do. Um, that was something that we found out. Well, it wasn't found out. We just thought about it and asked Father Eric, hey, like, is there something we could just buy you, like to have to help you? Because there was a long time when he didn't have incense, and then we actually didn't end up buying it. He just did it after I asked, I think, the third time, and other people were asking him too, so it wasn't just me. But definitely be persistent with your priest. That will it will shock you how far that will go in a good way. Okay. The internal monologues do kind of throw the pacing a bit. Like, and it's kind of funny. Like, I'm more like I watch jokes. Like, I'll watch like little clips making fun of the fact that the internal monologue exists. Like, for example, because like I was doing Exodus 90 and my wife was watching Death Note, and so I was only able to watch it if she invited me to watch it with her. That was the rule when it came to people you lived with and what they were doing. And so she would invite me to do it every once in a while. And so I would miss chunks of it. And I know the first season, like it's about, he succeeds at making the world like a better place. And then like he gets crazy with power and the ending and so, sorry, I'm trying not to like give too much of a spoiler. So spoiler alert back 3 minutes ago. So like that's kind of where I'm at. Although the same guy did Attack on Titan. I thought Attack on Titan was pretty good. In fact, like if I had to, in this crazy world where of my hypothetical, if I had people, if I wanted people to watch one anime and everybody had to watch it, I would actually say Attack on Titan. Because it deals directly with racism and empathy. And obviously, like there's the Nazi Jew comparison that happens there. But there, there's other aspects, and in a lot of it, it's about just empathy, understanding the other person, how he grew up. Like you have Levi and his uncle, even though that's more of a I don't want to say cliche, but like a normal version of like somebody who's kind of like a cool character, moving away from like the interesting aspect of um, Attack on Titan and more focusing on the human relationships there. But like, you know, the whole thing is just a like Pilgrim Pass. If you ever watched his stuff, um, does I think an excellent Attack on Titan explanation and how it um, inadvertently points to Catholicism, because the whole thing of Attack on Titan is not only empathy and race and understanding one another, but also on the nature of nature, which is to consume itself. So like life consumes life, right? And so that would make sense as Catholics. I'm watch Pilgrim Pass's video. It's really, really good, and he does a much better job of what I'm saying right now. But as Catholics, we understand, okay, well, God, the life, gave himself up for us to consume him. And so that's supposed to help with the empathy and living out and solving the problem that Attack on Titan points out. So it's kind of a lengthy answer to a question that wasn't directly about it, but that's what you get. So it's yeah, it's a solemnity, for crying out loud, guys. So it's let's see, Naruto teaches you to not seek revenge or you'll fall in the circle of hate. Yeah, so like right, like that's very similar to Attack on Titan, like where it just keeps going back and forth, back and forth. Let's see, you said his personal rules. If I can see the ceiling, there's not enough incense. Woo. My priest finally said his personal rules: if I can't see the ceiling, or if I can see the ceiling, then there's not enough incense. Man, that's funny. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was like one of those shows I actually wanted to watch growing up. And then when like unfortunately it was just never the right time of day that I was able to watch it. It was sad. I did get to see the one where he lists all the countries of the world. But you can find that on YouTube. That's really funny. Let's see. There's yep. Oh, here we go. All I ever see are political ads. In my opinion, the Sasuke's desire for revenge escalated the conflict, not allowed more to develop. Yes, I agree with that. I think they went too hard on him. I also think they gave him a lot of absolutely ridiculous power-ups for no reason. So that's yeah. So now it's evolved into an anime conversation. So what allergies? Like just having allergies? Like I okay. Let's see. Yeah, those are the demons. Those are the demons allergic to incense. No, I haven't watched JoJo. Nah, but I've seen some parishes that I've liked. Yeah, I would actually be surprised if it was because of young people. Usually it's in older people. Yeah, they don't want to do it. Uh, sorry, I'm just okay. Sorry, I know you guys like the people who are watching this later. Like, you're not seeing what I'm reading. So, like, Levi drinks his tea like an a-hole. Like, that's absolutely correct because he drinks it like this. I didn't abandon. Yeah, so I didn't abandon my parish this last week because modern papists made a great point. I wanted to quit and go to the next door parish, but I then would then abandon my church where I was baptized. So, like I said, it's just to clarify, my previous video was about giving an honest try about changing the life of the parish, not necessarily to what, like, not in the state, not with what you want, right? Like, this is not about what you personally want. It's about getting back to tradition, getting back to what has been passed down within the church herself, and pointing out like liturgical abuses, maybe pointing out like uh, somebody not, or the priest only having times of activities for like people who are retired and not for people with families. So like it's about getting the priest's attention about the demands of the parish, and so that's that are reasonable, and so like that's, yeah, that's, and Olive, I appreciate you commenting and letting me know that. I'm glad I influenced you positively. Um, yeah, that makes sense. Because incense is kind of acquired, like it kind of feels acquired. Um, like I know I'll get it in the back of my throat, but yeah, all right. All right. So, um, so if you're just now coming, I have no idea how many people are here. So there's 6 people on YouTube, 19 on X. If you haven't liked, please like. Or if you don't like it, don't like it. If you want to comment on the hair, sure, it's fine. That's why I did it. But like, if getting back to the point, like Luce is something that I think it's an experiment. There are positives and negatives to it, but like one unforced error is just the artist. And I don't know how to get around that because, again, someone could have a situation where, like I said, a compromise passed before, where they apologize and they move forward without doing that stuff anymore. But given he's the co-founder of the company, and from my understanding still works for the company or is part of the company, and that company promotes LGBT stuff, that is inherently like problematic, and creates a uh, not the greatest uh, look and scandal, right? Like that's a problem. Um, okay. Wow. Okay. Like some of the things in chat. Okay. If you're watching this later, please watch chat at the same time. You will get why I just, yeah. Like so since we were talking about anime, incense, and Luce, would anime Saint Paul wield a large set of keys? I'm assuming you're saying Saint Peter. Saint Paul, a sword and thurible. So yeah, because Saint Paul is depicted with a sword. Like we have I think we have a depiction in the house. And John, a large book while he beat down demons while shirtless. Oh my gosh. Okay. But we would, okay. I don't know if it would be shirtless, but you know what I would know? John would beat Peter in a race. That's what I like. If they had something like that where there was a dynamic where John had to be somewhere, and John or Peter had to be somewhere, I'm almost positive John would be the one going, and not Peter. But it depends on the situation. So I don't think shirtless, although that'll probably, like, it's anime, so at some point that might happen. I don't know, like, so I don't watch the, so here's a like a corollary. Like, I don't watch The Chosen precisely because The Chosen is, well, it, even though it's played by, the guy who plays Jesus is Catholic, um, it seems to be Protestant led, and I am inherently against that. Like, I don't read Protestant Bibles. I don't read Protestant books that are like about devotion and prayer. Um, Outside of maybe C.S. Lewis, but he's an exception. And the reason why he's an exception is because he is directly influenced by a practicing Catholic that was raised by a priest and a devoted mom called J.R.R. Tolkien. So that is the only reason why I recommend like C.S. Lewis stuff, because I don't if you are away from the church, if you are outside of the church and you're um, not within the church, when it comes to teaching things in the church, I think just from a conservative perspective, like, I don't think it's good to just read whoever. Um, it's either they have to have a good pedigree related to and recommended by someone who is a devout Catholic, or be a devout Catholic themselves, or like a bishop or the Pope. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. So Saint Anthony, the hammer of heretics. Yeah. Giant keys connected. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Giant hammer. Just have a giant. He'd have a battle hammer. That's what he would have. That's what he would have. Ah, that's great. And he'd take out trees. Like, the enemies would be trees. Okay, whatever. It depends. Because like, you have paganism and they worship at trees and they sacrifice at trees, and other idols, and it would be crazy. Like Saint Patrick, what was it? What was the saint that cut trees in Ireland? I don't know if it was Saint Patrick or if it was someone else, but we just chop trees down in the middle of like druid rituals, and I think it was Saint Patrick. But you can just imagine him with a mace, um, or a giant battle axe, just going in and taking out a tree. Um, Demonly possessed trees. I don't know. Like, it's just a theory, or I'm sorry, it's just a potential story, I guess. Um, yes, it has. It has absolutely been funny. Why has it been funny on your end? Saint Nicholas. Yes, he won. Um, all right. So those in the chat, I am not going to put up swear words in the on the main page. So just FYI, I will put down a-hole, but I won't. Yeah, just letting you know. We're getting like really lively, and I love it. So let's see. That would be his. That would be his line. That would be his line. So Joan of Arc, if they did do Saint Joan of Arc anime, she would probably fight, because every account that I've read and that has been explained to me has been that Saint Joan of Arc led the army but did not fight herself. So her thing would be that she would actually fight. Yeah, that would just be me. I think we need an anime with various saint depictions for Saint Michael. Yeah. Oh, he was? Okay, Saint Boniface. Okay, yeah, Boniface. Sorry. Oh, all right. Yeah, it's so yeah, as Father Eric talked today, like, we have like 10,000 saints. So going back to the mascot, we have 10,000 saints. Why couldn't we do a mascot that was one of those saints? And it doesn't even have to be like Peter. But like, so I do I have an affiliate link with Shining Light Dolls, and Shining Light Dolls has you can find it on my YouTube, about me. Like, I have an affiliate link through there. Um, it Shining Light Dolls are like dolls for kids to play with, but they're saints. So instead of playing with like a bear doll or whatever, they're playing with saints, and they're getting accustomed to saints. And you can read stories from the books that you get with them. They are not books, but they're like little pamphlets where they kind of summarize the life of the saint. So it's like, it's got a lot going for it. Like, we have, I think, like 30. Yeah, I want to say like 30, 30 of them. Very durable. My oldest is 11, and we've gotten one every Christmas, for every kid that we've had. So it's it's been a lot. um, uh, uh, So, okay, like, not like, since we're brainstorming here, as an anime, we need one person with a ridiculously huge gun. I agree with this. Would we have to have an angel for that? I think so. But that gun wouldn't be a normal gun either. It'd probably be like, you could probably use like light rays or something. Like, and it would be mostly for demons, like a specifically demon thing. Um, because that's the other thing, is like, so you have like all these things that we're talking about with the different saints, and what they would fight. And I brought up trees because the whole thing is, you're like, with Saint Boniface, because the enemy isn't other people, right? Like, the enemy is like principalities, like demons, like those are the enemy. And so I think I agree with you. I think the one with the huge gun would be an angel, but it would only affect demons. Um, they've got a huge, big line of Catholic toys now, but the original vinyl dolls are so cute. Yes. Um, nuns with guns. Nuns with guns. It's funny. Uh, See, I don't know. I don't know what we would have to do. Like, it couldn't be like it kind of sucks that Demon Slayers has been taken. Um, because like that would be more in line with like what it is. Um, Trying to think, what would it be? Like, I don't know. Like, it would take some time. Like, we could have start a comment in the video, like underneath the video, be like, what would the name of the Catholic anime be, and then throw out like a name, and then I'll come back to it later, and then I'll throw out whatever I think, and then we can try and see how many people like give suggestions and what people like. Um, let's see. That doesn't sound bad. Um, it doesn't sound bad, but I think it needs like I don't know, intercessors, just intercessors. Hmm. So guys, it is like 11, and I've been doing this for an hour and 25 minutes. So I've got like 5 minutes left, because I can feel my eyes um getting heavy. So and oh, there's my water. Oh my gosh, I'm like, my throat's got the incense in it still, and I have to. All right, so 5 more minutes, and then I have to get going. So 11:10 is when I'll be at. So Hammer of Heretics. Oh my gosh, that doesn't sound bad. That actually sounds pretty good. Uh Gregorian chant blast. I don't know. Oh wait, you guys are like getting off now? I just said okay, whatever. That's fine. If you guys are getting off, that's fine. Okay. So, okay. I'll I'm gonna leave that there. I see what you said about Luther. I'm gonna leave that there. But yeah, the oh man, Reformation Day happened. So okay, I'm gonna share this with you guys really quickly. It'll be the last thing I do. Um Reformation Day, blah 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 blah. So it's just a meme. And I put it on my wife's meme page. Let's see. Present, share screen. So, Reformation Day is good, be honest. It celebrates reform of the church. Be honest. Reformation Day celebrates rebellion from the church. Thank you. So, yeah. Not I mean it's a meme, so it's whatever, but it's I thought it was a good meme. Um I really dislike the ads. Okay, I see that. But it's funny how Halloween just completely wrecks Reformation Day. Just absolutely wrecks it. Like people bring up Reformation Day and it's like, ha, all right, Halloween. Um oh, you like the bus one better? Okay, here. Let me get that. Let's see. Oh, here's one. It's Reformation Day. It's Reformation Day. See, nobody cares. Let's see what. Oh, that's like the whole thing. Uh, there it is. Reformation Day just gets wrecked by Halloween. Like it's just not even a contest. Um, so yep, that's yeah. So his wife has a YouTube channel. Yeah, yeah. So it is called Meanwhile, and you'll see like if you put in Meanwhile Catholic, you'll get. Let me see if I can get that right now. Um, 1 second while I get it. Let's see. Oh, you'll be able to steal a whole bunch of these. I mean, they're meant to be shared. Um, but yeah, they're pretty funny. There's a lot of Catholic ones, and I'll occasionally put them up on community in the community tab and say, hey, go here for my like wholesome Catholic memes or whatever. It's really funny, and you'll see like I actually get into more theological debates over there than I do over here because I will even though it's my wife's channel, I edit and like follow, I make sure that the channel people get responded to for the comments. And so like so many people want to push the idea that Halloween's pagan. Like they just want to push that. They don't care that like people provide evidence. Man, it's just absolutely crazy how many different debates I get in. And it's like not even again, it's not even like modern papists. Like nobody debates me here. And that's completely fine. But man, do people debate on the Meanwhile channel. It's really funny. So, oh yeah, so go fight Protestants about memes so he stops. Oh, and pagans with a chip on their shoulder. So neo-pagans with a chip on their shoulder also are on that channel, because yeah, that's who I was dealing with today. Okay, so here's the thing. I do try not to. So I'm just saying, I like Protestant slander memes the best, though. I have a huge Protestant slander playlist called Protestant. Okay. All right. So I try very hard that if I do Protestant put downs, that it's not like kicking them while they're down type of situation. Like, it's not just to beat them up. It's to like point out things. Like, there's one where like we put up uh the Nestorian argument with the Council of Ephesus, where Ephesus, I think it's Council of Ephesus, where they clarify Mother of God, and like there's a meme for that, but it's like a lot of it's like you'll see this too in like the comments. People will be like, "I learned so much from your memes," and it's like really funny because they are funny, but it's like if you know a little bit of Catholicism, it's like, oh wow, like that's actually really like they're intellectual, and you'll see that some of so they're okay. So that is an interesting question, and I would love to have a conversation with someone more learned than me about it, because like neo-pagans, the reason why we call them neo-pagans is because there isn't a lineage from when paganism was dominant. So like that makes a whole lot of sense. Typically, it's European pagans, like people who claim to be, Thor, druids, whatever. Here's the thing, like druids, for example, didn't leave a single shred of evidence about what they are. They didn't have a written language. Everything we know about druids come from Catholic monks. And so the pagans who are trying to LARP right now are doing so off the manuscripts of Catholic monks writing down what they see. So that's how you get the neo, because like it's not an authentic, like there isn't an authentic like there's not like a line like we have, right? Like it's not like like there isn't an apostolic type line where there's like teacher, 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 leader, whatever. To today, it's definitely been broken up, shaken about, and basically everyone who's trying to do it right now are picking up pieces that we found and wrote. So whether you're Protestant and you're using the Bible, and if you're Protestant using the Bible, you're using the books that we wrote and put in the Bible and compiled. If you're Protestant and you're using history, you're using the manuscripts in which Catholic monks wrote down and what they saw, and the missionaries, what they saw. So whether you're pagan or Protestant, you are following the Catholic Church in some manner. And it is so funny like when you know that. So it's like, woo. All right. All right. So Protestants be that is true. Okay, now I got an ad for I don't know. It's based off the algorithm. And again, part of the algorithm, part of what goes into the algorithm is the time. And right now it's late at night. It's 11, and people who typically stay up this late have certain proclivities. And so they'll promote them in certain ways. So, hey, Mark, happy All Saints Day for at least 45 minutes. Or I guess, Solemnity. Yeah, we're 12 to 12. The Bible is a Catholic book. Fact, preach. I mean, yeah. My ads are all about how awful Republicans. Isn't that great? Like we get a whole bunch. So okay, here's the other thing. We live in the state of Michigan, and so I get polls all the time. Why? Battleground state. We get advertisements all the time. Why? Battleground state. We are one of those states that people care about what we think. So if you live in a state that doesn't get all that, what the parties are telling you is that they don't care about your opinion. Rather, it's that they take it for granted. So that's actually what it is. But yeah, that's the funny thing about us is that living in Michigan, we just see a bunch of ads for Harris. We'll occasionally see Trump ads, but Trump was actually just here. We didn't get affected by it directly because he was close to where our parish is, but we know some people who just did not, like, they got blocked out of their houses or blocked out of their roads because Trump was there. So that was funny. Protestants don't have a Bible to quote without the Catholic Church. A friend of mine is becoming Catholic after he internalized that fact. Sounds like you're giving us someone to pray for, Mark. That's great to hear. Yeah, I've noticed that too. And so like, yeah, I don't so I used to work for one of the pollster groups, and like when they say it's like really close, like I actually don't quite believe them, because like the fact that they're going so heavy on the ads reflects like their true belief. Because yeah, like Kamala Harris, for every one Trump ad, I see about the same, like 10 Harris ads. So I don't know who's sick, but I hope you get better. I saw like several today when I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Trump. I listened to the whole thing. It's actually a really good conversation. Every single ad was a Trump ad. So I was actually shocked by that. Olive's sick. I hope you get better, buddy. Let's work to get this land Catholic again. Yeah, it's funny. Oh yeah, that's great, Mark. That is awesome. So yeah, we should do that. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest. I was not expecting this much activity so late at night on a Friday. So what you're telling me is I need to have later live streams to get more people, because that's what you're showing me. I agree. Let's see. All right. I think so. Which is funny. It's kind of like, hey, tech center, go to the tech center, and then go to the. So, I used to work for a contractor for. I used to work for a lot of places. I know I keep saying that, but I can't. I don't want to dox myself. But I used to work at the tech center for a contract. Okay, we that is a real thing I would love to do. It's dangerous, but like part of the problem is how many people would actually have because here's the thing, you don't want to tie politics to religion so tightly, but at the same time, like you kind of do. Like you have to be careful. There is a line, and you can't cross that line. But like, for example, if the bishop says something and the leader of the political party says something else, you really should follow the bishop, right? Like, if the bishop is saying something reasonable, and when I say something reasonable, I mean in line with church teaching, is, if he's saying something that's clearly evil and wrong, obviously, like, that's a problem. And that has to deal with how well formed you are as in understanding the faith. But if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen about 3 to 6 months after the election. Because what's going to happen is the election's going to happen, and then the inauguration is going to happen 3 months later, and then, or 2 months later, sorry, 2.5 months, well, 2.5 months later. And then there will be some like downtime after the first few weeks in office. Then real conversations can happen with enough people that will do it. But I don't think the Solidarity Party is a good option. I don't like that. I think it's better if it was like widespread, but I don't think it's a good option long term. I think we do just have to say we're going to make a Catholic party based off natural law, and we're going to literally be the party that shows like we're just going to rock it with the best rhetoric, because you're not going to be able to like philosophically defeat it as long as our positions like don't become too nuanced. If they can become too nuanced, I mean, there is always some messiness to politics, because politics is human nature, like deals with human nature directly in action. But I'm totally for doing that. I'm not going to be able to run for anything, but because my wife won't let me. And it's more of a safety thing, like, because you are going to get a target on your head, on your back, and because you're trying to ruin the dynamic of the two-party system, which has been horrendously institutionalized throughout the states, which makes it a waste of a vote to vote for a third party, because practically speaking, like, you're just not going to be able to get anywhere. Like, there's only a handful of states that allow and you would have to win every one of those states. And so like that's the problem with independent parties right now, is just the institutional bias is so bad. But I'm totally for doing that, because like Michigan, like that's where the Republican Party started, in Jackson, Michigan. So we're and they did it because people got fed up. So yeah, like I'm fed up with the two parties. So yeah, she was baptized in February. So that's yeah, I wouldn't say it's the best, but it is really good. It is really good. There have been some crazy chat rooms I've been a part of, and yeah, I'm actually surprised at how much back and forth happens in chat rooms. Yeah, let's see. It was just Dearborn. If you stop more, I don't know what I'd do. Let's see, good holy work at Mark. Yeah, definitely. All right, sorry. Reading. Well, it's super dangerous. Okay, I think that. Okay, so still talking about the Trumps. The Sacred Heart Party. Oh my gosh, I think that's the name. That would have to be the name. Maybe not. See, we can't use Natural Law Party, because the Natural Law Party was already, like, it exists. And it's run by people who don't seem to understand or appreciate natural law. And it's like really disappointing. So, all right. So if you haven't liked this yet, please like it. That I would really appreciate it if you did that. And thank you for joining me. I know this is like last minute. Obviously, it's like 11:30. But and you're probably shocked by what I'm wearing, and that's completely fine. Just please watch the beginning of it because we do talk about Luce. Um, let's see. The doctrine was the best doctrine against the Mary. So, oh, like we could Our Lady of Champion. So the Marian apparition in Wisconsin. It would almost be like a symbolic representation of it too, because like of the country because of where it's located. So like something to do with Our Lady of Champion would, I think, be really, really good because it's the only American apparition here. I'm actually trying to get together people. Let me know if you like in the comments in particular, because I don't want chat to blow up with this necessarily. But in the comments about a pilgrimage, like a mass pilgrimage of people going to Our Lady of Champion on its feast day or on its solemnity. I think that would be really cool because I don't think we focus on that apparition and the fact that Mary has come to America in that way. We, and people will focus on Medjugorje, and Medjugorje is like way over there, and it's not even approved. It's just over there. The pilgrimage is approved, but there's not an Our Lady of Medjugorje. That has not been approved by the church. So, like, rather than going over there, how about we go over here, where we do have, an apparition. Yeah, it's in the backyard, but like, Mary was still there, so still important. Okay, cool. When did you go? I'm really glad you did it, music director. You probably seen him on the videos, but yeah, he does a really good job. Like today was awesome because we did the full oh my gosh, the Petition of the Saints. Like we did the full Latin Petition of the Saints of like I want to say like 100 saints. It was great. Let's see. Yeah, come say hi. Um, definitely the Sacred Heart Party. The devotion was started to save France from the horrors of the French Revolution. I think we need it, right? Because right, okay. So that makes a great point, and we're kind of dipping into everything, but like, why not dip more into like historical politics? Because like the understanding of freedom in the French Revolution was basically licentiousness, right? And so it wasn't the freedom to do so. Freedom historically has been defined as the ability to do what you ought to do, right? And the French Revolution was like, no, that's not what freedom is. Freedom is licentiousness. If you can think you do it, you can do it. And so, which is a very liberal thing to do. And it kind of wrecked that nation, and a bunch of people died. And right now, like our country started before the French Revolution. It, when you read Hamilton's letters, he refers to freedom in the historical way. So our country is very much built with the understanding that freedom is the ability to do what you ought to do. And it has been gaining like a lot of traction in the last like 70 years with freedom being licentiousness. And so I think I agree with you. I think that would actually be great. So according to this stream, we need a Catholic party with a muscular anime St. Peter as their mascot. So I don't think St. Peter would be good. And the reason why is because that would tie too much. Like it's like, all right, you're already Catholic, so you already have this pseudo allegiance to the Pope, right? A completely different monarch or head of government. I think we should I think we should get St. Patrick or, um, or, uh, Cabrini or Our Lady of Champion. Um, and the reason with Patrick is because there's a lot of people who like associate themselves with St. Patrick, even though they may not be a practicing Catholic, because like that would be one of those things where it's like the Catholic Party should, by its nature, be able to help people be redirected to the hyper focused Protestant understanding of activism and faith, that treats their political party how they kind of treat their church. Not everyone, but in a lot of cases, there's kind of like this, politics equals religion equivocation, but taking that and channeling that into the Catholic Party and then converting them to Catholicism. I think that would be awesome, and I think a recipe, a potential recipe for dealing with um, Americanism, the heresy. So that's just my 2 thoughts or 2 cents. So let's see. I would be down for a Chad anime St. Peter and papal garb wrestling Saint. Okay, so here's the other thing is like I think most of the apostles, like how we would describe Chads, right? Like we would describe like buff or at least lean, muscular men. I don't know how they wouldn't be. They walked everywhere. They were fishermen. Fishermen are not weak. Like they are not weak. And carpenters are not weak either. So like I think are like the robes, like so there is a humility aspect where wearing the robes hides their muscles and their body. Um and I don't think I don't want to say that that's bad. That's not bad. But that would be like, especially like in this day and age where um appealing to people who um within measure that need that, I don't want to say need that attention, but are drawn to that type of masculinity first, I think may not be a bad idea. Because having a good body is not inherently wrong. It's when you show it off in a sexual way that it's a problem. Um, and so like that's, yeah, whatever. I totally go on tangents with those things, but like I think you got what I meant. Um, I like the pilgrimage idea. All right, good. um, oh, Litany of the Saints. Yeah, sorry. Or Litany of Saints. Um, oh, I'm sorry to. Oh, yeah, yeah. Good luck with that. We unfortunately already have. Well, not already. So we unfortunately have a constitutional amendment that is like that. So I hope it doesn't pass. That's funny. Yeah, we typically, yeah. Let's see. Gotta just so not going to vote. Okay, I think you should vote, and I'm basing this solely off that the church says that we should vote. So that's all I'm going off of. Dude, I would, yeah, that would be great. No, 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 no. I'm not even gonna, Damien. I'm not even putting up the. I'm not even gonna put up the champions. I'm not even gonna do that. Not even gonna entertain it. Just gonna respond. Just no. Um. Uh. Okay. Good. So, oh yeah. So if you had confession, I think within like 3 days, if you have confession So there's a plenary indulgence if you have confession, went to mass, prayed the Pope's intentions, and then prayed over the grave of someone. Um, so if you're if you've done like 3 of them already, like, it's supposed to incite you to go and do more, to do more holy things. And I'm pretty big on praying for the dead, um, for a variety of reasons. So, oh, hey, Hayes, nice to. I hope your lunch is going well down in Australia. um, so, let's see. St. Peter in real life, probably not a massive bodybuilder. Blah blah blah. Yeah, we're so okay, this is taking quite a turn from what I originally posted, or started talking about, because we were talking about Luce. And so please, like, go to the beginning of that. And then we eventually went into anime, because I described like what I was what I was wearing for my Halloween costume. And then from there, it just, what about a Catholic party? All right, what about an anime mascot Catholic party? Like a buff, muscular Saint Peter. Um, so like that's kind of like, I just summed up like 2 hours and 30 seconds. So there was a lot of nuance back and forth. We talked about a lot of things. Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, hopefully that's a good thing. I'm gonna be completely well, yeah. I have no idea Australian politics. I know the UK more. I'm not very familiar with Australia's political dynamic. So hopefully that's good. uh oh, you're doing this on your phone? I'm sorry. Like, wow. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Um yeah, it's praying in a cemetery, and you get a plenary indulgence for each day of the octave of All Saints Day. Oh, there's an octave associated with All Saints Day. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was an 8-day thing. That that is interesting. I didn't know that. We do have like, yeah, like I have a family member that's in Grotto, that's buried in the back of Grotto, the graveyard there. Okay, so okay. Clearly, yes. That was a point I brought up. Lots of hardcore Catholic priests in anime. And it's like, oh, what is it? There's that I know a few friends who are also like Catholic and watch anime, and they're like, I really wish our priests were as BA as what the Japanese make them out to be. And I'm like, yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, obviously no vice, right? Like no gunslinging or whatever, but unnecessarily, obviously self-defense is fine, but yeah, like no yeah, so that's it's really funny you brought that up, because I made that point earlier. Um oh, that's great. That's cool. Um thank you. Uh so if you're talking about when the Jesuits first started and they brought up, like, I guess yes, I have, like, if that's what you're talking about, because like Japan was brought up to speed on science because of the Jesuits. And then, like, we ended up having a whole bunch of Catholics in Japan, not enough to like convert the country. But then we nuked the two cities that had like the highest density of Catholics, and now they're sitting at like 35. I'm sorry, 0.35% of the population in Japan. but you're absolutely right. They were they were heroic. Like the story of Saint Ignatius is crazy, like crazy good. Um, like I've had my kids watch it a few times, in various ways on the Catholic media that we watch. Uh, yeah, it was nice talking to you, Jamie. Damien. Thanks for chatting with us. Jesuits are still awesome. So the um so sorry, hi Father John. Nice to see you again. Um let's see, in that form at least, obviously there are other, oh sorry, I'm not even reading the right one. In that form at least, obviously there are other plenary indulgences you can get if you want one for yourself. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to do a video on just like the list of indulgences, because it's a pretty straightforward thing. I'm not like teaching theology or something outright. It's just I don't think people know what we have access to. Like Mark, like we're in the Archdiocese of Detroit, so we can get an indulgence going to the shrine. Well, actually, either one of the shrines, the Little Flower or Saint Joseph, and not a lot of people know that. So it's yeah, it's kind of crazy. Um, I mean, that would be really that. Yeah, why not? Let's just do that. Because I mean, like, here's the other thing: is like, I think people recognize like myself when I do statistics, like, there's a lot of mental downtime, and so it's easier for me to just throw on a video. Like, I'll listen to Shameless Potpourri, Joe Heschmeyer. I'll throw him on in the background, listen to what he's saying as I'm like doing some of the mundane actions of like cleaning up the data, and it's I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people do that. Like they just have YouTube podcasts out in the background. Um, um oh yeah, Father John. I hope everything's okay. I know like Louisiana was hit with a hurricane, so I hope everything's. I just thought about it. Yeah, I hope everything's good down there. Uh, Back to King of the Hill. Um, Add some anime voice inflection to really emphasize the word plenary. Yeah, that would be. Uh, oh, okay, okay. This is interesting. I hope Father John's still here. Because this would be very interesting to have a conversation with if he's willing to do it. So here's a question for everyone. As an architect who is Catholic, should I design a Hindu temple? I guess the question would be, under what condition are you designing that temple? So I got some drinks. Like I kind of want to do this, like, but like, with respect, obviously, because I am not a theologian, but I have no problem giving my 2 cents and my reasoning behind it. Um, but obviously, first thing I would say is like ask your priest. I don't I'm see, I don't refusing the work. What level of scandal? So let's look up the definition of scandal. All right, so let's. This is from Catholic Harbor of Faith and Morals. Okay, so and how not to. All right, let's go to Catholic Answers. That's always pretty reliable. So what exactly is scandal? So let's bring this over. So scandal is not this hair, by the way. I just want to emphasize that. Stop screen, present. Sorry, I'm entire screen share. All right, let's pop this up. Defines scandal as an attitude or behavior which leads another to do evil. The person who gives scandal becomes his neighbor's tempter. His damage is virtue and integrity. He may even draw his brother into spiritual death. Our Lord, what is that word? Militates against scandal and even ties a curse to those who promote it. Whoever causes one of these little ones who would believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck. All right, so yeah, we all know that one. The Catechism explains that scandal is greater according to the authority of the one scandalizing. It is one thing for a 4-year-old to say, but it would be another thing entirely for a bishop to say this. Yes, so because of the authority of the episcopate, the bishop can influence more people more effectively, increasing the gravity of the harm done to those. Yeah. The example displays a second closely related element of scandal. It increases when the speaker has a duty to teach the truth. Okay, so I'm going to be completely honest, Mark. I don't think there's any scandal with refusing to do it. Not in the Catholic understanding of scandal. Been invited by some local Indians if I'm interested. I showed them a church I worked on. I mean, displays a second. So let me add this. So the Catechism names 2 more factors that increase the gravity of a scandal. It becomes a more grave when the scandalized person is especially weak, or when others are deliberately led into grave sin. Given the poorly formed faith of so many Catholics, this means that today the opportunities of scandal are many. The improperly catechized can easily mistake vice for virtue and be led into sin. In cases where scandal occurs but is less grave, it may lead to simple misunderstanding. In the grave cases described above, scandal can encourage a gravely improper view of reality to the point that a person sees good as evil and evil as good. Yeah, I would say like building the Hindu, like I would make the argument building the Hindu temple is probably not great. Borderline, like you're facilitating. So you're facilitating a building to promote the worship of demons. That's kind of how I would look at it. My church is full of Indians. Okay, so like yeah, there's so like they're Hindu. They want a Hindu temple, but are they Catholic? Yeah, because like I mean, it'd be the same thing. Like I actually have a real problem with because like in the similar line of thinking, there are Catholic stores where we live that sell wafers, and they sell wafers to Protestants for their fake communion service, right? Like it's not a real communion like reception. No consecration is happening. Um, it I consider that to be scandalous because you're promoting them to do a mock ritual that isn't actually the real thing. Um, and I understand that like they may have good intentions, but like enabling that doesn't help at all. Um, so that's let's see. Are they like so do you go to a Syro Malabar parish or is it just that they're Indians and they're there? Oh my gosh, don't even get me started at that, dude. Like you're totally right. You're totally right. Like some of them are much better about it and you're totally right. I yeah, I can't even um or like what gets oh, hello. Totally screwed that up. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, well, I do know because it's in the way, but so I guess yeah. All right, I screwed up the thing. Anyways, it's there. Um, so I guess like have a look at our churches. It's inner city, lots of international students. I guess like I'm confused. Like, who's asking you to do that? If yeah, I mean, like you yeah. Um, we need to fix your flip. Yes, we do. So yeah, I mean, obviously, don't be yeah. Like that's what I would argue for. But like that's I'm not. I also don't know all the details because they're. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to give this impression that I'm some sort of authority. I'm just making an argument. So like that's where I'm coming from. Um, yeah, okay, cool. He's just given the nature of the building itself and as an engineer, so don't design it personally since we know that it only uses it to meet high dollar. Yeah. So okay. That's kind of interesting. Um, so I did not expect this to be 2 hours long, and it is 2 hours long, and it's about to hit midnight. So it's about to be All Souls Day. Um, I did not expect it to be this long, and it's kind of funny because I've just helped facilitate a conversation that affected someone halfway around the world, and was not expecting that. But I'm glad we were here to talk with you. Like, if you want to know the link, here I'll share the link. Just to help, because they're Catholic Answers. I don't know, like, is Catholic Answers like really big in Australia? Hayes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know it from online. Yeah, it's like if you listen to them, like most of them are pretty good in terms of like most of them are pretty good in terms of explaining the faith. They have a whole segment where they do phone calls like online. I'm sorry, phone calls like from like 3 to 5 California time. So Pacific time, which I think is I mean, that might actually be better for you. I don't actually know how that works exactly. Well, I guess it's just 3 more hours. So whatever. But it's yeah, the apologists are pretty tested and they've helped convert a lot of people. They were one of the first to really branch out of apologetics, because like for a long time, at least in America, apologetics was just dead. Like it was just dead. Um, and they were like, hey, like we need to be able to explain ourselves. And St. Thomas Aquinas and a bunch of people in the church say we should do this. And so that's kind of how it was started. But yeah, they're pretty big here. That's what you get. That is what you get, and I appreciate it. I just want to let you know I do appreciate you watching those. And I do have them on the lowest setting. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I usually go to them whenever I have like a question. So Mandy just converted in February, and so like a lot of the articles, if I don't know what she's asking, like Catholic Answers is typically what I go to as my first choice. Yeah, good night, Olive. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining tonight, and it has been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed my Halloween costume as a bit of flair for what's going on. Hopefully, Luce doesn't become a problem. Like, there's obviously some like this is one thing I don't think I stated. The concept of Luce is not necessarily the issue. Like the concept of it is not necessarily the issue. It's like for me, it's really the top down selling of it and the artist association. So billions of Catholics, but apparently we have to get the ones that also promote proclivities that are against the faith. So, but yeah, yeah. So like the artist that did the girl that's on my thumbnail, she is a mascot right now, and like for the Catholic Church for the 2025 year of Jubilee. And the artist has art, like he's in charge of a company, he's a co-founder of a company, and it sells art for sex toys and art that is that promotes the LGBT explicitly. And there's also some other art that when you like look at it, like clearly a problem, but those are the two most like objectively wrong ones for what we're talking about. Yeah, and it's a pretty common sense solution. Like you just don't have to hire someone like that. Like it's really not hard. Like if I haven't, like even from an architect, right? Like if I know an architect over here cheated on his wife and the architect over here did not, and it was public, I would go with the one that did not. Like it's just really simple. Yeah. So yeah, everybody who came here, again, sorry Hayes, I know you came in a little late, but yeah, we all right, last thing. Ripping out mosaics only to turn around and hire this dude. Yes. Ripping out mosaics of a dude who sexual misconduct. So anyways, yes, have a good night everybody, and thank you for watching.